welcome to Folds of Honor Friday at the KauligCompanies Championship. My name is Don Padgett, Executive Director of the tournament, and today we honor the men and women that have served our country. Thank you to those that wore patriotic colors for the red, white, and blue out presented by AT&F to show your appreciation today. We show our appreciation for America's fallen or disabled military and first responders, as well as their families. The KauligCompanies Championship is proud to partner with Folds of Honor to help tell their story. Last year, Folds of Honor awarded over 9,300 scholarships, totaling over $43 million to kids and spouses who are families of members that make sacrifices for our country. We are proud to share that Folds of Honor, in partnership with the KauligCompanies Championship, will award 13 scholarships in Northern Ohio. So thank you to Folds of Honor and all the great work that they carry out. In addition, this week, there's a 13th hole military tribute presented by Wells Fargo, where uniformed members will serve and attend the pin flag on the green. And that will show our appreciation for our U.S. military to an international TV audience to over 130 countries. Also at 5 p.m. tonight, we have our military appreciation concert. Country star Cameron Marlowe will be on hand. Openers will be Tim Duggar, Jack O'Deal, and John Daly. So we're excited about that. Our hometown heroes through Jobs Ohio will be there. And also thank you to the Summit County veterans that will be in attendance as well. We'd now like to have the playing of the national anthem presented by Marks with a performance by the University of Akron Marching Band.
Veterans, attention! Veterans, present, halt!
I'd now like to introduce Tiffany Eckert from the Folds of Honor Speakers Bureau to talk about the impact of Folds of Honor. Tiffany?
Good morning. I'm so thankful to be here today. I'm actually an Ohioan, so this event means so much to me. I have the wonderful opportunity to travel the country and speak on behalf of the Folds of Honor mission, and it's always so comforting for me to be in the state of Ohio, and how special to be here with all of you on Folds of Honor Friday, which this isn't the first, but I want all of you to know that just a couple weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, the very first Folds of Honor Friday was launched in the state of Ohio, so that's something to be proud of. I've been with Folds for the last 10 years, and I have to say, it's one of the greatest privileges that I've ever had to stand with this mission, and partners like KauligCompanies and PGA Tour champions. Thank you so much for having us be a part of this event today. I met my husband, Sergeant Andy Eckert, just on the cusp of turning 21. I was 20 years old, and we were introduced by a stranger, and in that moment, Andy told me, "I know that I'm going to marry you," which seems super bizarre, but as fate would have it, Just a few months down the road, Andy and I went down to the Lucas County Courthouse in Toledo, Ohio, and we stood in a hallway and we were married by a stranger 6 days before he left for his first tour to Iraq, and I was pregnant with our first child. He was gone for 17 months. During that first deployment, I gave birth to our daughter, Marley Freedom Eckert, who will be 21 years old now next week. He did not get to meet her until she was 11 months old. He came home to us a Purple Heart veteran who had almost been killed on March 15th, 2004. He came home to us Easter weekend with shrapnel still in multiple places in his body, and he'd been deemed non-deployable. He never had to return to war. He could stay in the military, he could stay in the Army, but he never had to serve again. Just a few months later, his home unit was activated to go back to Iraq, and Andy came to me and he said, "Tiffany, I don't want to do this, but I feel in my heart that I have to go back. They told me that if I sign a waiver, I can go back to Iraq with my brothers that I went to basic and AIT with, and I want your blessing." And in that moment, now 22-year-old Tiffany, with a brand new child, we had just found out we were having our second. My husband had almost been killed during his first tour in Iraq. I looked back at him and I said, "This is not what I want, but if this is what you believe that you need to do, I will stand with you and I support you." And I walked down the hall at his reserve unit with him and I watched him sign the waiver. And for that second deployment, he left on Christmas Day, 2004. As luck would have it, he was able to come home in March 2005 to see our son Miles born. He was home for 14 days. The only time that we ever had together as a family of 4 was when our son was born. I will never forget standing in the Toledo Metro Airport when my husband looked at me as we were saying our farewells, and he said, "Tiffany, I know I am never going to see you again. I am so sorry. I love you more than anything in this world, and if anyone can deal with life and what lies ahead for you, it's you. I will always be with you." And I said, "Andy, that's not true. You're coming home. Keep your head on straight. It'll be okay. I love you. I'll be here waiting." And he said, "I love you, Tiffany. This is it." And Andy was right. 3 weeks later, on May 8th, 2005, which happened to be Mother's Day, my husband was murdered by a terrorist. He was 24. I was 23. Marley was 22 months old, and Miles was 1 month old, and our whole world turned upside down. Looking back now, older, wiser Tiffany, I'm 42. Looking back at my younger self, I cannot believe how I got to this point and to this day. But I know that it's because my husband loved me in a way, and I him, that has sustained me through everything. And that I love my children more than anything, and I have gotten up every single day and I have stood tall for them. And people like you and patriots like you and those who follow the Folds of Honor mission and support us have stood with us and made it easier along the way. Sorrow runs long. Throughout time, it gets better because your heart starts to repair itself and you get it put back together, sort of. People like you and the support that we've received from Folds of Honor bridge the gap for our family between heaven and earth. You have made all of the difference for us, and I mean that genuinely. The last time I ever spoke to Andy, he told me, "Tiffany, you need to get a degree. You need to go to school. I want our kids to have a good education. No matter how long it takes, you have to go to college." Fall of 2020, I said, I have one promise that I have left that I haven't kept with Andy. I need to go to school. I didn't think I could go to school. I didn't think I had it in me because, like I'm sure many people in the audience today, school wasn't my thing. I barely graduated high school, not for lack of intelligence, but because of situational things, and I didn't have support at home. But on a hope, a prayer, and a promise that I made to Andy, fall of 2020, I went back to college. I enrolled full-time at Bowling Green State University with the help of Folds of Honor. I completed my 4-year degree in less than 3 on the dean's list. And now I am in grad school at Bowling Green State University. In the last 2 summers, I've taken courses at Cornell that Folds of Honor has paid for. So statistically, I was doomed from the start. I had a rough upbringing. I lost my husband young. The war robbed everything from us. But here I am standing before you today, a testament that as long as you continue to keep going and you don't give up, anything is possible. Because of Folds of Honor, my children also, who are now 19, and like I said, Marley will be 21 next week. They have attended private high schools that I couldn't have afforded as a single mother. Marley has completed her first year of college and now has gone on to a trade program with the support of Folds. And my son is also at Bowling Green. All three of us at some point in the last few years have been Falcons together. So on behalf of my husband, myself, my children, and every first responder and veteran military family that Folds represents, thank you for standing with our mission. Thank you for allowing us these few minutes to share just a fraction of my story with you. Know that there are so many other stories on varying levels that would tug at your heartstrings. And know that whatever you choose to do in regards to the support that you give to Folds of Honor, last thing I want to say is it's not a donation, it's an investment. You can never go wrong by giving the hand up of higher education and supporting the 1% that have guaranteed the blanket of freedom that you fall asleep on every night. And that is where you can find the return on your investment. And very last thing I'd like to say is genuinely from the bottom of my heart to every veteran and family and first responder represented here today, thank you on behalf of myself, Andy, Marley, Miles, and Folds of Honor. Have a great day golfing.
Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing your story. All of us here are grateful. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Bill Stewart, President and CEO of Induction Tooling. They're the presenting sponsor of our ceremony of first tee shot this morning by Staff Sergeant Stratton McCord. So, Bill.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day we have. Today, we honor our military members and first responders. Oftentimes, we forget all of us are protected by our military and our first responders. And Tiffany's story puts everything in perspective as to why we're here to honor the veterans. Thanks to the PGA, the KauligCompanies, and Folds of Honor for their support in this first tee shot by a military member. I'm sponsoring the first tee shot, and when Allie from the PGA asked me if I would do it, I said absolutely. As a former Army member, it is so special to be here. Just around the corner, up in the Kaulig Infinity Zone, we have a military tent, and we are partnered with Jobs Ohio, and we are offering valuable military assistance, not only on the level of what's available to the military, but also what's available from our hearts. Military members, I'm asking you all to please stop by the booth before noon today and register your cell phone number for several nice prizes that we have available to be awarded at noon. And the winners will be texted on the field as they're wandering around watching the pros. And when they get the text, they'll see what they've won. I thank you all. Thank you for honoring our military members. Thank you, military members. And I guess we're on for the next tee shot.
Thank you, Bill. Now I'd like to call up Staff Sergeant Stratton McCord to kick off our tournament today with Folds of Honor Friday. Sergeant McCord, kick us off.
Hit it straight.
concludes our military appreciation ceremony. Thank you, everybody, for attending Folds of Honor Friday. I hope to see you at the concert tonight. Thank you.